You probably think the internet is some indestructible, ethereal cloud matrix forged by Silicon Valley billionaires. It is not. The internet is basically a massive, global game of Jenga held together by duct tape, rusty underwater pipes, and a 20-year-old open-source library maintained by a guy named Gary in Nebraska. Every time you stream 4K anime or send a passive-aggressive Slack message, you are riding on infrastructure so fragile that a single sleepy intern or a slightly aggressive fish could literally send humanity back to the Stone Age. Tomorrow, the whole thing could just stop. Here is the apocalyptic nightmare of how it dies. To understand how the internet dies, you have to understand what it actually is. It is not magic. The internet is just millions of computers screaming at each other through copper and glass, and 99% of international data traffic travels through submarine cables. Imagine the vascular system of the entire human race, but instead of being safely inside your body, your veins are just lying on the floor of the ocean, where literally anything can touch them. We are talking about cables the thickness of a garden hose, carrying the entire global economy, and they are under constant threat from boat anchors, underwater earthquakes, and yes, actual sharks trying to eat the internet. If a coordinated group of bad actors, or just a really clumsy fleet of commercial fishing boats, decided to snip a few dozen of these spicy noodles, massive chunks of the globe would instantly go dark. No Netflix, no banking, no checking if your ex viewed your story. You would be completely isolated from the modern world because some guy named Todd forgot to pull up his anchor. And if World War III actually kicks off, nobody is launching nukes first. They are sending Black Ops submarines to snip these exact cables. Severing the transatlantic connections is literally step one in modern warfare. It instantly deletes trillions of dollars from the global economy, but physical destruction is honestly for amateurs. It takes way too much effort. You don't need a billion-dollar submarine to take down the grid. The real existential dread lives silently in the software layer, because even if every physical cable is perfectly intact, the whole system collapses if the internet suddenly forgets where everything is. This brings us to DNS. It's the phone book of the internet. When you type google.com, DNS translates that into an IP address, because computers only understand math and human brains only understand shiny logos. It is a legendary rule of software engineering that when the internet breaks, it is almost always DNS, but it's just a localized headache. If you want a global digital stroke, you need to look at BGP. Is the postal service of the internet. It figures out the absolute fastest route to send your data from your local router to a server across the planet. But here is the terrifying part. BGP operates entirely on the honor system. It assumes every router on Earth is telling the truth. It's like asking a crowd of strangers for directions to the airport, and one guy says, "Yeah, just drive your car directly into this dark alley," and you just blindly do it. This is called a BGP hijack. Sometimes it's malicious state-sponsored hacking, but usually it's just some heavily caffeinated network engineer at a small regional ISP who fat fingers an IP address. He accidentally tells the entire global internet that the fastest way to YouTube is through a dusty router in a basement in Ohio. The global traffic floods in, the router spontaneously combusts, and half the internet goes offline for 6 hours. This literally happens all the time. In 2021, Facebook completely disappeared from the internet. Not an app crash. Their BGP routes were totally wiped out. For several terrifying hours, the domain functionally did not exist. Mark Zuckerberg physically couldn't get into his office because the building's smart doors forgot they were connected to the internet. Now imagine that, but everywhere, all at once. So, where does that leave us? Are we totally doomed? The internet is an absolute miracle, but it's a miracle built on legacy spaghetti code, terrifyingly fragile hardware, and the blind optimism. It is a digital house of cards balancing on a tightrope, and we are just aggressively jumping up and down on it, hoping the duct tape holds. So, the next time your Wi-Fi drops for 3 seconds, don't scream at your router. Thank it. Thank it for surviving one more day in a violently hostile universe, trying to tear it apart. But while our hardware is fragile, the software running the world doesn't have to be. Click the video on your screen right now to find out why absolutely everyone is switching to Linux. I will see you there, assuming the internet still exists.